Hi everyone. Today it's July the 4th, 2023, and this is the 16th episode of Straight Talk with Sophia and One. Today's conversation is going to be a response to a question about illness and physical setbacks. It's just going to be me. I'm going to read the answer, and let's get started. It is the one. We can discuss this question around healing. There are many obstacles to vibrant health while human. There is an assortment of reasons for illness as such. What we'll do here is discuss the background of persistent illness and then ways to approach it, for there are many in both categories. The human vehicle requires sustenance, care, and maintenance. These requirements include regular movement, fresh water, vitamins, minerals, and clean foods. Purity is the name of the game here, and you've been fed more often than not food that is not pure. In this way, you've been starting out already battling what should instead be only nourishing. Now, the body in most cases compensates for this and thrives, but a consistent diet of inappropriate and unnecessary chemicals in food can weaken it over a lifetime. All of this is mentioned here to illustrate part of what you have been dealing with. Individual bodies deal with these chemicals to different degrees of success. Your environment has not been completely conducive to vibrant health and ease of movement. Now let us talk about temperament, for your attitude about health has very much to do with health itself. It has to do with perception, repetition, action, inaction, and emotion. All of these things are then summarized and expressed with the mind, thinking, and the voice, speaking. The function of each human incarnation is not so much struggle as it often feels, but instead experience. You are here to experience life embodied in a physical vehicle. You come to it eager and ready to engage with whatever life throws your way. As you encounter each event, be it emotional or physical, you develop your strengths and discover your weaknesses. It is often the situation that you most frequently struggle with that is the weakness. The repetitive situation, person, or event for you is telling you something or asking you. It is asking you to rethink how it is you are approaching it. For clearly, if something or someone shows up more than once on your journey, you'll notice. Pay attention to these things and vary your approach to them somehow. Once they stop happening, you'll know that you've figured something out about yourself. You've learned. It must be said before we continue that each body is inherently different. Some naturally stronger. Some start out incapacitated. These factors will permeate the life then lived. They will impact each decision and have an effect on the ultimate outcome. You were born equal, but not the same. You've chosen your particular human vehicle for its specific qualities and issues and lived circumstances. These will involve either more or less illness. These will ask you to focus in one or another direction, all on purpose, all to gain insight and expansion. There are multiple factors involved in the creation of illness. Illness is the result of a physical response to something that has been taken into the vehicle itself. Something has caused detrimental effect. This something began somewhere beyond the vehicle. It has been validated and accepted by the vehicle as harmful, or at the very least, less than optimal. In every aspect of creation, there is agreement. And I highlighted that statement in the transcript because it was very powerfully put to me. The questioner asks about how to resolve troubles with continual illness and/or the new incoming frequencies. For both wreak havoc on the body and the mind. She is not alone in this question. To be human is to deal with the physical. How the physical plays out for you is as much choice as chance. I'll say that again. Physical strengths, weaknesses, and challenges are chosen. Not chosen as if I'll take influenza B this time, yet chosen for the learning that will result from the experience of having them. A broken leg yields quite a different outcome than laryngitis. In both, a part of you is incapacitated. Yet the leg impacts your movement, while the voice limits your ability to communicate. Different conditions, different lessons. For better or worse, each condition leads to adaptation in your daily life. They may also lead to appreciation of either people or faculties. It is not a waste of time to be ill, for much is gained, and often these are things that would have remained unseen if not for the illness. This is not to say illness is good. It is to illustrate that it is a choice. It is a choice made by the being experiencing the illness as a vehicle for learning, a way to experience something that you wouldn't have if not for the illness. Illness is not punishment. It could be that those experiencing lengthy or frequent physical challenges prefer that method of learning. Perhaps the being sees no other avenues for profound effect. So it chooses illness or damage or struggle of some sort because it is always an available option. These physical vehicles are a rich playground for deeply lived experience, particularly pain and discomfort and physical challenge. It might sadden you to hear that some of the most anticipated experiences on earth before incarnating here are extreme hardship, pain, struggle, and loss. It is true. It is hoped that when hearing these words, you will feel enthusiasm rather than anger, sadness, or grief. For those of you in the most difficult circumstances and challenged bodies are the strongest of the strong, you are here to illustrate what can be done with belief. You are here to remember the truth of you. The pain-riddled or broken body perceived by you as faulty is everything but. It is a tool you've chosen in order to evolve and expand as quickly as possible. This is not to say that one must choose illness or handicap in order to ascend. It is to say that when these things are present, they exist at the calling of the one they exist in. Realize that this choice was made beyond and before this life. There are some who do not choose such a road. Their challenges are found in other parts of life. For I tell you that each human life is a challenge somehow. For there are none who incarnate without a desire to experience, learn, and thus expand. This time now is filled with light workers and warriors who are here specifically for the challenge life shows them in whatever way it shows up. So what can be said about physical struggle is that it is very real, and as such will require an equally real remedy or response. It is here where I'd like to go next. Persistent physical issues, regardless of cause, have similar attributes. These would be their repetition and resulting setbacks. They can feel overwhelming. Regardless of how life-threatening they are, when they show up, they often cause feelings of discouragement, and as our questioner has said, exhaustion. It is as if the very vehicle you occupy is fighting you somehow, and each day presents some kind of struggle. Emotionally, this can feel devastating. First, there are no specific reasons for this, as if some of you have been awarded healthy bodies and others of you unhealthy bodies. Earth is an even playing field. Each of you arrive with the appropriate vehicle for your chosen experience. Discouragement and pain are some of the more challenging experiences, for what they do is flood the senses with negative emotion. This can lead you down a dark path with feelings that there is no way out. These feelings are valid, and it is there where we will take this discussion. What happens is that illness becomes a sort of focus in the life. It is felt to affect just about every aspect of that life, and in this way feels as if the very air that is breathed contributes to the ill effect. Everything becomes a challenge, and it becomes part of the self-identity. When this occurs, the illness will show up somewhere. It has embedded itself into the self-description as much as any other physical attribute. It's a delicate discussion, and one that can sound like blame or fault. Yet this is not the case. The illnesses are real and as causative as any other condition. A person is not making them happen for themselves or desiring them. A person will encounter them in life at some point. When they do, it is their approach and response that affects how they proceed. Their chosen approach and response will depend on what it is they want from the experience, as well as the inherent condition of the body. Some bodies are inherently physically weaker, and thus have a tougher go of it. We have already discussed the possible reasons for this. Once the illness or condition presents itself, then the individual approach kicks in and determines its length and outcome. Before going on, realize that persistent illness is sometimes chosen as a life path for the experience of needing care and or for another who then becomes the provider of that perpetual care. To continue, the illness or condition elicits a response. This response is emotional as well as physical. It is here where a distinction is eventually made, and it is an important one. It is the distinction between something that happened to you and that you are now dealing with, or another unwanted attack that is working to defeat you in some way. For sure, both approaches can be intertwined and even change from day to day, yet eventually and certainly one approach predominates. It becomes part of your self-definition. It can always shift, yet the deeper the victim approach settles, the harder it is to see, for there are obvious physical reasons for it. Deeply set emotions are the most challenging aspects of human life. They become a sort of never-ending logic that tells you, quote, I feel this way because these things are happening to me, and I can't stop feeling this way until they stop happening, end quote. There is no obvious way out of such logic. The way out has to be invented. It has to be created, it has to be seen, it has to be found, it has to be intended, it then has to be accepted. as another option. The question has been asked why. Why is it so hard to do? Why are some more impacted with physical difficulties than others? What is being given as an answer is that there are many reasons why, yet in each of them there is an emotional decision inherent in how they proceed. That decision will determine the outcome for you. When your approach comes from self-determination, it moves more rapidly to a desired outcome. This would be an approach that does not take on an identity with the illness or condition and therefore does not expect it. When your approach instead includes a sense of victimhood, there is less empowerment felt to change it, and thus it can last longer. It all comes down to attitude and expectation. These things can be continuously adjusted in order to yield a desired outcome. The power to do that is always in the hands of the person involved. Our questioner has given herself a particularly challenging time in this life. Her frequent encounters with physical issues come to her as part of her plan. She has not been human often, and chose to experience these most challenging of conditions in order to completely empathize with the race. She has witnessed the difficulty from another vantage point and did not get it. She chose to experience the very personal challenge of overcoming daily persistent discomfort so that she would appreciate fully that challenge. Hers is a unique gift. She chose to learn empathy by lived experience. In doing so, her compassion reaches new heights, and this was her goal. There are souls who choose to live lives of hardship, and she is one who has done so for her own evolution, as well so that she become a light for a very specific group of others in need of such a light. If she thinks on this, she will realize where these others reside. Light is needed in every corner of this planet now. In our questioner's case, she chose what may seem to be an obscure section of humanity in which to share her light. There are no obscure or lesser sections of humanity, and she should know that. All of humanity now requires light, and examples of how it can shine most brilliantly. She is such a light, and her gift is appreciated. She has not lost faith at a time when it seems perhaps she should have. This did not get unnoticed, and the light expands as a result. She is a gift. It is hoped that she will see herself that way, and that this will assist her. She has come to this life knowing of the difficulties she'd face. She came confident that she would rise above them, and here is why. She has faced similar struggles in other now moments. Each time there was an aspect of her life that was affected. That aspect changed. There has never been a time when she gave up. She is clearly not giving up now, hence the question, why some and not others? It is always those who face the most challenging circumstances who are here for the greatest expansion. It is her desire to comprehend as deeply as possible the constraints of the human vehicle. She is one who will emerge, and already has, with maximum empathy and compassion for physical hardship, for she has looked at it from every angle. This is part of the reason for her current challenge. She will know what to do to move beyond it, and won't do so until she has achieved the maximum learning possible. She can relax in this knowing. She is still the brightest of lights. Her reach expands now. That is all. So I hope that it helps you to hear this answer and that you've enjoyed today's episode. And lots of love and light to everyone. And we'll see you next time.